said that?
Gotta be awful. I forget.
John.
Wait, who wants to...
Fun and games, right? Is often
He said he's good on the necessary being.
nonetheless.
Does that even mean?
Not lose sight of what's
And and John
Somebody
said,
saying...
that's not my view. I don't think.
It's like somebody saying... I'm good with conjunctions, or just... I don't know. Does it mean like he's good with like the contingency argument? Is that the idea?
Nothing like that.
No, I see. I only talked to him once, and I was just asking him questions, and then for some reason he recorded that. We weren't like debating or anything. And like I asked him to take it down, and he was like, nah, it was on replays on or something, and I was like, okay.
He's like, nah, fam.
Yeah, it's like all the replays were on. I like people like that. And they just come, they just try to like snipe, just get like a soundbite and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's his MO.
I mean, I watched the video with Jovan, but I imagine it being something like they don't make much progress, they're just throwing questions back and forth. Jovan probably gets like mobbed or heckled or like overtalked, and then it's like confused atheist or something like that.
You nailed it.
Yeah, that's it, basically. Except, like, Jovan, like, misspoke, and they, like, kind of, instead of, like, Chadleby being like, oh, okay, you didn't mean that, you meant this, fine. They kind of jumped on it and were like, oh, he was saying really dumb. You know, like,
Yeah, I
because
think
you accidentally say, yeah, go on.
No, I think Sully experienced something similar, but wasn't like he wasn't like modded. Also, he wasn't like recorded or anything. But I assumed was like cool with you guys because he started coming to the room more often.
Oh no, he is cool with us. But basically because he's dunking on theists or Trinitarians, I should say. And so, like, we like that, right? That's fun to see him do that. And he hasn't really got into it with any, well, until, I guess, Jovan got into it in like an aggressive way with any atheists. I think that's probably on both sides, like, no one wants to, like, make the relationship bad or something. But I think it's only a matter of time before there's a hard debate and it doesn't.
And I just mean like I thought like he wanted to have a cool relation, but if he comes in clips,
right,
that's yeah.
Well.
Yeah, that's my thing about
motherfuckers
clipping me and putting me on the internet. Like, well, if you want to have like a good relationship with people, and just like come talk to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, but it could be the case that he was like with his like boys. He was with James and Johnny and John Lee, so he might have been a bit more, I don't know what the word is, aggressive or something, than if he was in like a room full of atheists, right? feel like he might have been like playing to the crowd a little.
No, he definitely. He said he knew what I meant, what it meant. He just didn't know what I meant.
Right. But isn't it one of those things that usually everyone means the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many different ways you can take all things considered, all things equal.
Hmm.
And that, especially in that discussion, like, I just assumed he was, like, already knowledgeable about, like, the dialect. So I figured once I said the all things considered thing, he would just, like, pick up on it and run with it. And I could just go back to doing what I was doing, and you guys could keep talking.
So, I mean, you were expecting him to say yes, presumably, right? That was, like, the obvious answer. Like, all things
Yeah.
considered, would it be a better world?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't even seem like much of a gotcha, right? Because they're just going to say all things are not considered. It's not all things aren't equal.
Well, I mean, it was
How about
Jovan
Monday?
looking for the gotcha.
Well, no,
Could've
that's
said-
not a
no,
gotcha.
I wasn't looking for a gotcha on him.
Look,
Dude,
it's not a gotcha.
you can't be
to say-
serious.
No,
You're
it's
talking
not.
about
Shut up,
saying for the
pig.
record. You don't
Shut up,
remember that?
pig. Shut up.
No, that was after I thought he was being dishonest when he refused
The first thing he said
Sam?
was something like, well, you could say it, like all things. Did you say all things being equal, or all things
I think
considered?
all things equal. That's what I first said.
All things being equal, would it be better if there were like fewer, rapes, let's say? And that would just be like, yes, right? Most people would say
You're
yes.
not going to
Yes,
get that
yeah.
answer from me.
Well, no, he could say no,
No,
too.
no,
That's
but
the
then
point.
you
He
don't
could
know
answer
what-
no there.
Yeah.
But
It would be
what-
weird to answer no.
Well, that's the point. He could just answer no then, and then he's just going to
It's
say that
neither
it's
yes nor no.
necessary.
My answer is not necessarily because
Okay, yeah.
what would have to be considered? God's
all things.
purposes.
No, that's not what all
Exactly.
things. Yeah, but
all things. What
maybe
do
you
you
don't
know
know
about
what
all
all
things?
things. Okay. See, this is like another example, but what the idea of all things considered is if nothing else changed, like the only thing that changed is
Who's the
another
one
race.
considering God?
No. Oh dear. What's he doing?
I think you guys are
What
basing
are
my
you
point.
doing right
no,
now?
John, it is
What are
the
you
You
doing?
guys are having an echo chamber. Like what I'm telling you is when you consider all things pro toto, right?
What?
Then all things being equal, then you put God into the equation because He's the one permitting, He's the one and sovereign, He's the one allowing these things. And so when God allows something to happen like rape, right? For example, well, it is, and when that happens, it is a good thing in virtue of not the rape itself, but because of what God has considered. And what that consideration is,
No.
we do not know.
You're just answering
But look,
questions
this-
nobody asked. Nobody asked about any of that, right?
The issue here is just that, I mean, adding God into the picture wouldn't change anything, right? Why
Who's
would it?
doing the
God would
consideration?
judge.
All things considered doesn't literally mean.
Yeah, look,
like,
all things
considering it.
considered, what has most reason to occur? And you think that God is all good. And so God's just going to actualize, what has most reason to occur. So adding God to the picture isn't going to change anything.
What are you talking
Why
about?
would it?
Genesis 50:20. What you meant for evil, God intended for good.
Oh,
Well, that has most reason for occurring, right?
Absolutely, it has most reason for
Yeah,
occurring.
so what
But
look, so what
however,
does
God has-
adding God to the
sir,
picture
sir.
do?
if God has different intentions, right? And so there are evil intentions by the brothers, and God prevents that from happening, that is also good. So therefore, the act of the brothers, the intention of the brothers, the action of the brothers is relevant to whether the total consideration is good or evil.
Yeah, I think,
No, but-
just to
but look,
be
the
clear,
point
I don't
is
think
just
this
that,
is making
like-
much sense. Let you go.
Look, John, here's the point, right? Like,
Look,
for you,
the point is
objective-
just that there's never going to be a case where God has some sort of consideration which is out of accord with what has most reason to occur. He's never going to actualize something in which isn't in conformity with that which has most reason to occur.
So what I'm saying is there can be a world in which God decides a particular rape has no good reason to occur in God's purview, He does not let it happen. It does not happen. And therefore, what did not happen was always evil to begin with because of the intent of the harm of the creature. Now, whether the creature succeeds or fails, it does not characterize whether it is good or evil. It is evil. It will be evil. It is perpetually evil. And therefore, whether it happens or not, right, it does not establish whether that action, that intended action by the creature, whether successful or not, is evil. It is evil, period.
But the point of this discussion,
How
right,
is it that
just to
God
show that
adds? How is it that God adds something for which there's a reason for something occurring when otherwise?
How is it that God
perhaps
permits
there-
evil for good? Is that
No,
what
no,
your
no.
stupid
That's
question is?
no. My question is just: it seems like you're saying that God can create a reason for something to occur without, any real change to the world. He
It's
could
not
just
the
will it
case.
to be the case.
No, the case is, at least in my view, not every Christian holds this view, is that God has preordained these occurrences, and so that rape that happens in 2022 was to happen before the foundations of the world. That's my view, and therefore
On the
it is
foundations of the
necessary.
world has
It is
most
necessary
reason.
based upon that ordination that it must come to pass, and not only so, that it is necessary that what comes to pass is good, not because of the action in and of itself, because it's evil. Let us not call
Yeah,
good
I
evil
get
and evil
that.
good, but God willing it, God decreeing it, God permitting it is good in virtue of what will result from it, whether it be their forgiveness, whether it be their judgment, whatever it is, that you can fill in the blank of what
It's just
occurs from that.
consequentialism.
That is good.
Well, I understand that, John, but the foundation, God instantiating the foundations of the world has most reason for occurring, right? Like,
Yes,
God wouldn't do
whatever
anything
occurs has reason to
Okay.
occur.
No, I'm saying God has most reason for laying the foundations of the world.
I don't really understand that statement, but it sounds correct.
Well, that's what you said. The laying the foundations of something, maybe the world or whatever.
No, I said
if
this has
it's
been preordained before the foundations of the world is what I said.
No, you said lay the foundations of something.
I'm going to repeat what I
Um,
said because I'm quoting scriptures, okay? And what you represented is not what I said. Maybe what you heard erroneously. Could that be it? So to clarify, what I'm telling you is that these things are foreordained prior to the foundations of the world. Once again, that's what I said.
Okay,
So
and
you can work with that statement if you want. I don't know where you're going.
I will. Yeah, so, I mean, God just foreordaining the world in exactly the way that he did, he has most reason to do that rather than ordaining it to be otherwise, right?
That is correct.
Alright. And so there's never an instance where, because, the only things that occur is God foreordaining the existence of all things.
That is also
and
correct.
then, then the unfolding of all of those things. And when you say that, it seems like you agree so far that God is in accordance with that which has most reason to occur. His particular single plan that he foreordained, right? So to me, it just seems like there's never an instance in which God is out of accordance with that which has most reason to occur. So back to a little bit earlier.
So you mean nothing occurs
I
that is out of accord with God intends? Is that what you're saying? That would be correct.
Yeah, nothing occurs which is out of accord with that which has most reason to occur.
That is.
And so earlier it seemed like, earlier it just seemed like you were disagreeing, and you were implying that adding God to the picture would change the way that we would sort of consider, pro-Toto evils or whatever. And I
Whoa. Let's stop right there. I don't believe in pro-total evil. So why would,
I know.
why would we
I know.
consider
So
something that I don't
it was
believe
confusing to
exists?
me. I'm sorry?
I don't believe pro-total evil exists. I don't believe gratuitous
know.
evil exists. So I don't know what are you talking about consideration of pro-total evil? What do you mean by
same things, John?
No, well, that was why I was
Pro-Toto and
confused. I mean, it seemed like God is in accordance with that which has most reason to occur in all things, and it seemed like when we talked about just that, you had an issue with it, and you wanted to add in God to that, God's judgment, and I didn't see why that would be, different than saying, no, you can't talk about the North Star. We have to talk about the evening star. It's like, well, it's the same thing.
Yeah, what's the difference, John? There is not.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to sorry about
It
that.
got 10 times worse.
I understand.
You
No,
know
I
what you were using before?
I cannot, sir, because I had to. May I finish? I had to turn on my end. I had to turn on my end. Oh my goodness, Sean!
Are you gonna get derailed every time I cut you off?
I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let you know. So listen, I had to.
I
Stop
hope you do.
I had to stop my.
I want
engine.
you to.
I had to stop my engine because my phone battery died, and so I'm gonna cut this conversation. Thank you very much. I don't want Sean on the stage, and I'm not gonna engage with him. So thank you. If you mods are gonna allow this, I'm just done.
What did Sean do?
I'm done, Haiti.
I cut him off like 4 times in quick succession.
He said, I don't want Sean on show. What does Sean do? Did you call you a name, or what did he do?
He interrupted.
I said I hate him.
Oh, well. I mean, the question was, all things being equal, would it be a better world if there were fewer rapes? Doesn't seem, it seems like you could just answer the yes to that.
Actually, Haiti, the question was, why couldn't I go back to the phone? I was trying to explain that my battery died, but I had to turn on my car so that I could charge my battery, and that's why I'm on Bluetooth. But he didn't even let me say that. He cut me off about 4 or 5 times.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
He kicked me off the stage earlier.
It was clearly a joke.
The first person I kicked off the stage all day today was Mo, and he.
Well,
My heart died.
I
didn't know Mo was talking to me.
To be fair, Mo, John said the next person who mentions Gavin's whatever brain injury, I'm kicking off the stage. So it's not like you went.
Well, no, TBH, he named me specifically. He said, if you mention it again, I'm going to kick you.
No, he said anyone. Did you not, John?
I thought he singled out me and Jane and Joe.
No, that was another conversation.
Well, I knew.
No, that's not correct, Eddie. The only people that I saw were talking about Gavin's brain injury was Jovan, Jane, Daniel, and Mo. So because those are the only 4 people that I heard specifically talk about it, I mentioned them by name. These are warning to you 4 individuals, and Mo still didn't listen.
I love you still, John. It's
There was nothing personal what I did, Mo.
No, I know. I'm just telling you, I still love you.
It's not personal, it's business.
Come to me. Dave, my daughter's. Tell me Gavin has a brain injury.
You don't even make me a mod. One of these days, and it may not be tomorrow, or the next.
It's personal when he kicks me, though.
The Mod Father, Part 2.
Oh, the Mod Father, that's
He does have brain damage.
Look what they did to my son, who is also the Father and the Holy Spirit.
You know, giving Deepak mods is like handing
Wait, Deepak has mods?
Mother Teresa.
His panic is like, it's like.
So Deepak would just invite everyone up, right? He'd do the reverse. Like, mods are supposed to send people down. He'd just invite. Yeah, I think that's a point, you know? I think there could be end times next. There's a way in which that could be.
Hey, Victoria, you
We're going to want me to find out, what I do as a mod.
Like Noah letting everyone on the ark.
Well, it's possible.
Hey, Detroit, are you there? Jack, are you there?
I'm here, Jovan.
He's asking for, like, the black belts. That's who he wants to talk to.
Yeah, what was that? I heard somebody sounded very white.
Oh, I sound
My
white.
belt is black.
Hey, you thought I was talking about the race. That went right over her head.
I don't know about black belt, John. Sorry, Jovan. But I have a leather belt.
Why are you talking?
Is that sexual?
He's talking like what's his face? Fuck, what was that kid's show guy's name?
Are you okay, Jovan?
How is this leaving me? What is this?
Someone needs to do the Tom voice thing. Hey, Jovan! I've got a leather belt for you, Jovan!
That's creepier than that. It's like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
hey, Jovan.
That's right. Feel my rigid designator, Jovan.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah. I bet you like that, Modus Ponens. You little slut.
How'd you like my analytic identity?
Hey guys.
Hi, Billy.
So are we all in agreement, at least the ones who watched the Billy and John debate, the opening and stuff? Like, we rewatched it all together. Are we all in agreement that actually Billy is probably, that we think that Billy is actually winning the debate so far?
No. I don't think it was, at least rhetorically a draw. I mean, obviously I agree with Billy, and I think...
No. Were you there when we rewatched the debate together?
Well, how does that change? I was there for half of that replay, but how does that change? The debate was still...
How does it change? It changes everything.
Well, what? How can that change it? Unless your new information came to light.
Because you were biased when you first watched it, and
Okay, it's still the same debate.
so you're unbiased. You don't look at it differently.
Well, that's okay. I might think, but
I mean, I forgot most of it. I mean, again, I was working on not much sleep at the time, so I don't remember the debate live per se, but watching it back, John's contradiction was more blatant. John's dodging was more blatant. And yeah.
Yeah, did you catch the contradiction the first time, Deepak?
Which, I mean, I got the thing that Tom caught, right? Like that, he kind of switched from, okay,
Yeah,
so the
no,
Bible says,
he flat out contradicted himself.
what was the contradiction?
Oh, so you're saying you didn't see or hear the
No, my God, I just don't remember. I probably will remember.
Maybe a second viewing would have remedied that little ignorance of yours.
But look, hang on, even if that's the case, right? Like, the fact that Billy didn't point it out in the debate, right, meant that in some sense...
He did.
I did point it out.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, okay, sure. I mean, so maybe that was a point on your side. Doesn't mean that overall...
So we're saying that a second viewing might have actually made you aware of that information, right?
Sure. I mean, if Billy pointed it out, then probably I was aware of it, right?
I'm probably way too charitable with John because I just gave him the benefit of the doubt that, he didn't say that. Because at the time when I said, okay, well, I thought you did, and I just moved on, I was like 95% sure he did say that, like, God creating less turtles was, like, logically impossible or something. But I just gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I could have, like...
Why would you give him the benefit of the doubt?
Because it was a...
Well, Billy, what I said was that it's logically necessary, right? Are you understanding that? It is logically necessary for turtles, therefore it's logically impossible based upon what is logically necessary. Now, the word is not, but the first question is actually the inverse, Billy, inverse, okay? So on the inverse, we're talking about a different topic.
So look at me, John, for a sec. So I'm not engaging John further. I've offered him to do a redo of a formal debate, but I'm not engaging him in these rooms because it's just a complete waste of time. But John, the offer is open for another debate on the evidential problem of evil.
Yeah, thank you, but I already told you I'm not interested, so I don't know why you persist and make it. Are you slow, Billy? You've been told to your face, I'm not interested, and yet you want to ask again, and on a stage again, Billy?
So
go for it. But you've been told to your face, I'm not interested. Feel free to keep asking, like it is.
You will, because every time you run away, it's funny. We laugh at you.
Yeah, John, I'll just make my point. I'll just make myself very clear. I'll just make myself very clear. I'm happy to engage you in a moderated debate. There's plenty of moderators who agree to do it.
Is this my cognitive dissonance or what?
I'm sorry. I'm still speaking. I'll just make myself clear. So, I'll just make myself clear. So, there are plenty of moderators who are free to moderate the debate. I'm sure James is tired, or Tom Rabbit, or Jason Torn. Happy to do it. But I'm not engaging you in these rooms because it's just a waste of time. And it's just it's just terrible. It's probably a waste of time to debate you. But that's when I will talk to you. I'm not going to talk to you here. So, yeah.
It's probably a waste of time to debate anybody, honestly. But
shut up.
But is there anything wrong with what Billy said originally? Right, like what would be the logical contradiction of any less turtles dying? And then John's response is, no, you've got something wrong there, paraphrasing. And then he said, well, look, it's logically necessary for turtles, end quote. I'm presuming it's like logically necessary for the amount of turtles who have died to die or something. But that just means that it would be a contradiction for it to be any other way than, the amount that it is. But then that's just to, make the same claim. It's like when the precept says, well, it's necessary because the impossibility of the contrary. It's like, I think this is more a sign of
immovable, always abounding in the work work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. Do that like at least encompass the 51 or something, Kathleen, respectively?
Yes, you read it very well. What version are you reading with?
I'm at a hotel right now. My sword is going to be the KIV, King James. KJV. I prefer it to be New International Version. That's why it was harder for me to read it. But like when it talks about the sting of death, it's I'd really love to hear hermeneutically what.
That woman.
Oh, yeah, look who we have on stage. What an honor. May, you're welcome on stage.
Hi, May, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está?
I'd like to meet you. And here we have Bert. Bert, you're welcome to the Lighthouse, friends. This is a club, is a community, is a family, and is a vision. And we love to welcome people to our house, so you're highly welcome. Please don't go just yet. Make sure you click on the pinned link and join our house to stay updated on our programs and activities. Because we have a lot packaged for you. Volume is low.
Bert is my neighbour. He lives in Australia.
Oh, amazing. Gavin, is my volume low? Are you struggling to hear me?
No, it's okay. I can hear you.
Okay. Bert says the volume is low. Is it the volume for the music or my voice? Anyways, just want to know the feedback you're getting. May, is she unmuted?
I think even less people will have kids. And just for a kind of a refresher for folks.
Probably me. I will say though, John versus Jane is always fantastic. That's always like really entertaining to watch.
Always.
Also, John and Jovan isn't bad. But I think the winner has to be like John and Jane. Like John and Jane.
Jane's a champion.
And Jane just annihilates John every time. Oh my god. So
John doesn't do a voice anymore.
I don't even think there's no Jane content I dislike. So it's even better with John. It's so funny.
John doesn't do what anymore?
He doesn't do the voice thing anymore.
Oh yeah, he does.
No, he was doing that.
He did it last night.
Oh, he did? Oh man, I missed it.
Oh, he's been.
We want to do this stuff.
He's been off the deep end. He's actually been doing it more because he's like so triggered.
That's true. Does it all the time.
Oh, John,
He's
hope
really
you
off
get less
the deep
triggered.
How was the Billy John debate? How'd that go? Was it a shit show? Did John do anything? Give any good sound bites?
It was awful.
Yeah, he said determinism was logically necessary.
So yeah, and he also said that what was it? Less turtles suffering or less turtles? For some reason, I kept hearing less turtles instead of less turtles suffering.
Yeah, one less total suffering in the world is
given God's foreordination, it is logically necessary.
John, can you please wire your jaw shut for a second? I'm listening to two other people describe your argument. Go on.
He said it was logically impossible for there to be any.
You mean straw man my argument?
No, I meant describe it accurately.
And then later on, like probably 5 to 10 minutes later, he said that he never said that, and that it's not logically impossible.
I think.
But again, today he's doubling down.
Phrasing is poor. I think his phrasing is poor, but I think all he means to say is it's not consistent that God foreordains the way He does, and there's less turtle suffering or whatever than there is, right? Because it's part of
say that again with different words.
Can that first statement be true though, given he thinks that if God creates, He must create in a specific way?
I don't see what relevance that has.
So why you guys just don't listen to what I actually said?
Repeat what you said. I just misunderstood you then.
Detroit is about to steal man.
More precise, better.
Yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. It's really making.
Which is that it's not consistent that, not logically consistent that God foreordains things the way He does, and there's any less turtle suffering than there is.
Yeah, but He could have changed the way He foreordained it before He foreordained it.
Well, it's also part of His view that He couldn't have foreordained it any other way. But
why?
Except the possibility that He doesn't create anything.
What is I know what he means by that part. Like I know you're just saying that it's necessary given like it's consistent with the God's creation for the turtles to be that, right?
I don't know if this is
consistent with God's nature.
The way God foreordained.
The way God foreordains, yeah.
But I just want to say, I don't see how any of this is a response to the problem of evil. Like, how is it a response to just say, oh, it's necessary that God create this way? Like, how is that some sort of response?
It's a response to your stupid question, not a problem of evil.
Well, I think the idea is not that that's what accounts for the evil, but that the way it has to be is in fact good in all respects. Right.
Okay, so you're saying that it has to be this way for some sort of greater good?
Well, that's the way that God foreordained things, and it's the only way that He could have foreordained them if He's the creator at all. And it turns out that the way He created it is good.
That's just begging the question.
Wait, when you said it turns out...
Well, I'm just describing the view. I don't know what it means to say that it's begging the question.
You don't know what you said.
Well, presumably he's making an argument, not just describing his view.
What would the argument be for?
I mean,
you go first, Bill. Even
to defend.
Yeah, I mean, my point. I don't know, Detroit. Did you stay for the opening? I thought you stayed for the opening, and then like when it got into the rambling middle, you just sort of like tuned out.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I mean, if that's response, I mean, how is it a response to like aesthetic deism to say, oh look, me catching the train in the morning is like, is going to pay off to some greater story, and every single instance of seemingly just like nothing is going to pay off, is going to be a Chekhov's gun or something. And I don't understand how it's a response to that scenario, just to say, oh well, yeah, it's necessary that aesthetic deist God creates this world in this certain way. Like, I don't... Okay. But it's just seeming to be so obvious that He could have created another world which is so much more exciting.
Sorry. Maybe I forget the relevance of the aesthetic deism because, I mean, one, are you saying that this is more plausible than his model, or there's some sort of analogy there between the two?
No, not that it's more plausible. I said that it was more plausible at the end of it, but at first I was just saying that it mirrors John's position, and then I said that it's more plausible. But we can forget the more plausible bit for now. I'm just saying that it mirrors his position, and it seems so obvious. I'm not sure. It's
just.
Well, you're saying that they're kind of mirrored in this way, and there's some obvious flaw with the.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
so
I'm saying it's obvious. I'm saying it's obvious that this world. Yeah, I'm saying it's obvious that this world is not created by an aesthetic deist god, because it's just going to be the case that if it was, the world would be a lot more exciting. The world would have a much greater story. Yeah, it has some cool story elements, right? Like, that's why we have so many true crime miniseries on Netflix and whatever. But there's no wizards fighting like dragons and stuff. I mean, if it was created by a god who wanted to tell the best possible story, this world is obviously not the one
kind of like
he would
the
create.
evil god argument, right? Where they're just trying to.
Yeah, I kind of.
Yeah, I mean, well, two things quickly. I mean, the person who is an aesthetic deist or wants to defend that view is going to contest your assessment of the aesthetic facts, or what would make the best possible story. Or they're going to contest, whether those are in fact met. Maybe we're only seeing a bit of the story and are concluding kind of too hastily the story isn't the best possible one. So they're either going to contest some epistemic point, or they're going to contest what the aesthetic values are.
And isn't that, just sorry to interrupt, but isn't that exactly what the proponent of the good God is doing? That they're saying they're denying that there are these gratuitous evils, and they're denying that we have all the facts to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to take either one of those two options, essentially, for the good God version, which is to say, either they're going to disagree with you, maybe, on what, like, a good creation would involve, right? You think you wouldn't expect it to have, say, this meant suffering or whatever else, and they say, no, we would expect it to have that, because, well, we're disagreeing with you on what goodness is involved. But the other option is to say, well, we don't have all the information, including that this isn't the best possible world, or this isn't maximally good, is too hasty of a judgment. And in fact, it is as good as it can be. They're going to take one of those options. I mean, it is kind of weird. You could try to take either of those options on both cases, but that's,
Yeah, exactly. And I think the reductio there is that if you're going to say that these defenses work for the good God, then they would also work equally as well for the aesthetic deist God. But I don't think that most people are going to think that it's like. Yeah, I know, but I don't think it, and so my win points, at least rhetorically, in that I don't think most people are going to grant that aesthetic deist is, and sorry, I don't think that most people are going to say that the responses to the problem of boredom for aesthetic deism are really going to outweigh the just seemingly obvious point that this world is not created to tell the most important story. And if it does mirror, then by parity of reason, it would be obvious that this world wasn't created by a good God. So I think that's. Do you see where I'm coming from? It's just like the evil God challenge, kind of.
Well, I see it, but I don't see. The thing is, I don't see what it's adding, right? Because suppose that they do grant that these are kind of there's a parity there. I mean, someone could